Now, former or about to be former, one of the two, Prime Minister Boris Johnson has announced that he will be stepping down in the wake of a number of different controversies surrounding him that have seriously damaged his popularity and party control. So Boris Johnson is kind of a buffoon. So this isn't really bad news for me. This is good news. And it's actually a little funny, to be honest, watching this all go down. We will get to his announcement video in just a second here. But first, let's read about why he was pressured out of his position as prime minister. So this article breaks it down into two big controversies that did the most damage. The first, they call the Pincher affair. A senior conservative MP recently resigned after mounting allegations that he sexually harassed two men while drunk. An ex-senior civil servant's revelation that Johnson was made aware of the allegations in 2019 put an end to the shifting explanations from Downing Street number 10, which initially denied the prime minister was even aware of the official's behavior. So one of Boris Johnson's close allies, one of his MPs, had legitimate accusations against him of sexual harassment, and it was made clear that Boris Johnson was aware of this before he brought the guy on, but he still brought the person on. So while Johnson later apologized for the appointment, it did not prevent the resignations of two of his cabinet's top members. After the heated discussions at the questions to the prime minister session on Wednesday at the House of Commons, Johnson was confronted by members of his party as well. So one of the big things we saw that led, I think, as well to him having to resign is he had, for him having to step down, is a landslide of resignations among his cabinet members. The next big scandal was Partygate. A number of breaches of restrictions in place during the COVID-19 pandemic by Downing Street in 2020 and 2021 also caused controversy when it was revealed that social gatherings and parties were held there while the rest of the country was in lockdown. Johnson and Sunak attended some of these parties where alcohol was consumed excessively and janitors were treated inappropriately. Don't treat the janitors inappropriately. Hard enough job as it is. Police and government investigations into the violations found that top government officials knowingly breached COVID-19 restrictions. So that was the one that I think was heard around the world most about, was there were these restrictions in place for COVID-19 and Johnson knowingly violated them, had big old parties, spread the COVID all over the place. And when you're the leader of a country that is asking your people to take certain precautions to keep everyone safe, and then you're not taking those precautions, that's going to make people mad for sure. And we've seen a lot of those examples in the United States with officials as well. And I think it's definitely a good reason to be upset with the leader of your country or one of the leaders of your country when they tell you to do something and they don't do it themselves, for sure. So messed up in a few big ways. The funny thing is none of that would take down a conservative politician in the United States, but at least it took him down. So that's good, I guess. As I mentioned, he did come out and give a speech explaining that he would be stepping down and why. So let's take a look at that.
In the last few days, I've tried to persuade my colleagues that it would be eccentric to change governments when we're delivering so much and when we have such a vast mandate and when we're actually only a handful of points behind in the polls, even in mid-term after quite a few months of pretty relentless sledging, and when the economic scene is so difficult domestically and internationally. And I regret not to have been successful in those arguments, and of course it's painful not to be able to see through so many ideas and projects myself. And to you, the British public, I know that...
So you can hear in the background, he's getting booed. That's a bummer way to go out.
That there will be many people who are relieved and perhaps quite a few who will also be disappointed. And I want you to know how sad I am to be giving up the best job in the world. Above all, I want to thank you, the British public, for the immense privilege that you have given me. And I want you to know that from now on until the new Prime Minister is in place, your interests will be served and the government of the country will be carried on.
So, perfectly fine, good speech. He's sad to be leaving. Tried to convince his party not to do it, but he was overruled and has decided to step down. Again, Boris Johnson is just kind of a buffoonish conservative. So this is a positive development because definitely he's not the best leader to be leading the British people.